My VIP cohort, ready to lend an ear. We got an interesting topic that we're going to go over today. And it's going to be about how we go about our day, especially with like YouTube and how we research stuff. I want to highlight to you that the way that we read is probably mostly obsolete in the regard that we're not going after the information needed fast enough. In this, I mean, we're spending way too much time on topics that don't need our attention when we could go find the answer immediately and not finding the ones that are supposed to be read slowly. Here's my take on it. Let's say you got Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and you don't like meditations, but you know there's important things that you need to get out of meditations. Rather than you pick up the book and read it all, even though it's short, why not allow Notebook LM by Google, research it, put it into a podcast format, or use the chat function and find the quotes that you explicitly need on like developing a workout schedule, like the quotes that you want to use to get your mind going. That's the challenge I impose to you. As well as with YouTube, you can use the Gemini function to understand the whole video synopsis or summarize or find explicit quotes inside of it or key takeaways by how you context what you want to find within it. So now you're taking this hour format and condensing it into like 2 to 3 minutes. Then you can plug it into like a doc or whatever format you want, a markdown file. You can put it into Obsidian Notes, but now you have a point of reference where you're stop going through a whole long ass video and you're now on point. And that's what's changed my whole mentality. But old habits die hard. Sometimes we come back and we start watching things just for the entertainment purpose, or we're just so accustomed to something that we never challenge the point of what we need to do. And that's where I want to go at. If you watch one of my videos and you're just like, Phil, I don't like your stuff. Perfect. Go on Gemini, put in, summarize this thing, see what you want to know out of it, copy it, use it, and do your own thing, reinterpret it. That's what we have the power to do today. We can protect our time faster by allowing the large language model to do the heavy lifting and keep our attention on the things that are only valuable to us. And the way that we play around with different models can yield different results. My point will be, let's say you use Gemini and you do the sources and you want to verify that the sources are pretty much closely tied to like a real world event, not them hallucinating or someone going into a ramble. You could hop off on Perplexity, use the context that you have and say, can you find this context that has sources that they're verifiably true that these events have occurred? And then it can go after and find those sources. And now you're becoming more like a scientist and a seeker of the truth rather than just taking it at face value. There's some points where you want to take things at face value, though, just so you're listening. And then in your own time, start experimenting with it to see if there's a different point of looking at it. The best criticism is actually the one that's very deliberate and looks at a clear point that must be done to help you see the whole that you're working on. Keep in mind the whole. We get so caught up on the minutes and the tools and so forth, and I'm a big advocate of tools. I believe they're crucial for getting off. But once you have those tools, I think you're going to get into a point where you can't unsee those tools. You're just going to keep going down the rabbit hole. And then there's always going to be something else that enters, and then you feel like, holy crap, I need a vacation. And it's not the vacation that you want because you want to do this lifetime, but you've just put so many things onto your shoulder that you can't exit out and just think and come back in and focus on one thing after another because there's just so many parts. That's why it's so important to build out automation that can remove yourself from that does it by itself and you don't have to stress about it, or delegate it to somebody so now it has more of a maintenance curve with it. And that's the one thing I believe heavily. The law of maintenance over the law of compound interest will be the thing that does marvels. everything must be maintenance. That's one law you can't forget. Even with index funds, there has to be somebody behind the machine making sure that the trades are doing it properly, looking at each thing. It's just removing us from that role of being the professional getting it there. But if you're in the point where you have to be a professional in your field, you have to understand that you're maintaining it constantly. Even if you're building something new into it, there's always some sort of maintenance that has to go on. If you never maintain something, something will always god darn break on you. It's just the way things go. Somebody could enter in, they could breach, and then there's always something more. So you always have to be humbled by the fact that you truly know nothing. Even if you go to 1,000 books, have $1 million in the bank account, and gosh darn, you've done physical marvels, done the Appalachian Trail, do golf every weekend. I don't care. There's always some sort of maintenance. And if you want to challenge back on me, go right ahead. I've thought in so many times that, oh, it's all good. And then you come back and there's just a whole ton of more things that need to be done on it. And you're just like, crap. And that's where you can never truly seek perfection because there's always something to be worked on inside of it. And that's just where I've gotten to. I just want to focus on the things that give people the opportunity into the room because there's too many doors that block them and then they get overwhelmed. The reason people quit, I find, is yes, you're not doing that thing, but also you don't have the right tools to do that thing. So now you're fighting an uphill mountain. You don't know the landscape because you haven't been taught it. You go to elementary school, you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to all these schools, but you come out into the workforce and you struggle. And then let's dare say if you didn't have the perfect childhood, now you're fighting even longer, harder, and so forth. Now, here's the point. It's nobody's damn fault but you. And you just got to take responsibility in that. But asking for help and doing the things so people aren't just gate-kept out of important information is something admirable. And that's where I want to go at. Get away from the guru stuff and let you just take the information that you like and go after it. Enjoy the imperfections. Know these things and you'll feel more confident going forward because your competency and your warmth from learning all the other things, not by me, but many others out there in this world that can teach that, you're going to have a very satisfying life. I can't guarantee your life. That's one thing I came to that I love more. There is no guarantees. If I told you that I guarantee that you can go make $100 million by payment gateways, there's a possibility, but there's a possibility not. I don't know what's going on in your life. There could be a different lens that you see something that you're maybe not able to open that bank account or something like that, or you're stuck in a place where you only have $1 and you have to survive. Do the work every day, the W-2, your mentality. I truly don't know. But if you yearn for something to break you out of there, you're going to have to make the calls. You're going to have to make the commitments. You're going to have to use the large language model to help you be faster in response. There's going to be weaknesses with you. Same with everybody else, but use tools that give you an advantage. And that's the only thing. I have an example for you that probably would help you understand this better. Carpentry. I am not a general contractor, but I can use a large language model to get an idea of what the repertoire they use, my time at the Home Depot, and what my own observations are. And spitball with somebody that's competent in that field that has the licenses and insurance. If I do those types of things, even though I am not a general contractor, the general contractor will look at me with more, how would you say, more awe because I want to respect the craft that somebody else does. And I am humbled when I don't know something and I try to exhibit traits that I am trying to see how they see the world. And the more that we see the world and less of just all about me and I, we have a we have a better view on life. And that's where I would go at. Because our view gives us our values and our visions and dreams and motto and projects and time blocking and timelines, all one sphere that we operate by. And if we reclaim our time by using Notebook LM, Gemini's YouTube summaries, we have Claude, ChatGPT, Perplexity, we can summarize books, retool the book into song lyrics. That's where some of the greatest parts with large language models can really shine. We can start creating songs to books. We could use models from different books. So let's say I liked the scale from Spin Sales, how they showed like you have to have many things that weigh down on the other side to make the prospect want to look at you more. You can't just give one value or offer and just expect it to just shift immediately. Sometimes you can, but the more that you stack offers and things that benefit their needs, then you start seeing their ability to shift and then favor you. So let's say I want to use that same scale model, but use it for a philosophy. If somebody doesn't have like a philosophy that really goes deeply with them, like mine is payment gateways. I believe that a payment gateway should not just be like I start an LLC, I do a mergers and acquisition, and I'm done, and I just explain principles and tactics and dreams. When in actuality, I have to understand the network and all these other things and go deeper into a book and showcase what's the 1, 2, 3 on this. And I want to use that scale and use the 5 laws on my payment power. Put those 5 in there. Now you're stacked in favor of the transaction going through. That's like some things that you can use a large language model to do. And with Notebook LM and Gemini on YouTube videos as well, you now are getting more context together. So let's say you got all this context, you're taking notes, you got docs everywhere. How do you really get these notes together properly? And that was quite crazy. And the thing that I use is Obsidian, and many others have been explaining about it. I was skeptical at first, but when I went deeper into it, one thing that I found is that Obsidian keeps all your notes in a file, and you can just, let's say I want to create a zip file and put it to Google Drive and Mega. That's another one. I use 2 cloud sources just to be more safe. And I put them there, and now it is protected. So say if I lose the Obsidian file on my computer, I have another backup source that I can pull it in, download the Obsidian app, move the file into there, and then it would give me back all my notes. That's a really cool function. But here's the other part with the context. If I use Claude Cowork and I fetch that file, I can ask it to read the notes that I have and build out what is best for my business or needs of the day. If it has the newsletters that I do, and I want to give people a synopsis as to like my newsletters and what do they really entail, it can go back down and say, hey, these newsletters are pretty much for an operator that wants to go deeper into systems and understand a payment gateway so they can get the first checkpoint of going to wherever they want to do. And then use other books to bridge their skills that they need. So like sales, marketing, finance, medicine, contracting, real estate. These things should not just be limited to one audience. In this life, imagine we go back in time to pretty much like 1000 BC. Do you think they had the tools that we have today? Yes, we do have greater dangers today because of technology having its opposite side of like where it can destroy the whole world. I acknowledge that. Yet, there's also good that comes from it. And there's always a balance of power, I would say. Going back, 1000 BC, they did not have this stuff. Now, you may say, well, they had better attention and focus. And yes, I agree with that. Yet, if we develop those types of things and we utilize them and bridge together all these types of philosophies and things that they thought about and things that came to now, we're living in a time of great abundance. And there's also a great disparity. And the choice is yours. despair that you don't have something, or understand the gratitude of all the things you've done prior. There is no guarantee that you're going to live to 100 unless you're immortal. I'm not immortal. I don't think. The future holds in store many things, but in my own sense, no, I am not immortal. So, not being immortal, what gives me gratitude? Understanding the sublime, both the beauty and the chaos and everything. And our decision to sit and watch calmly as all these things pan out and make something that we can leave a legacy by and let people observe and make their own deductions. Critique me, put me on a pedestal, even though I don't really want pedestal or monuments. I really just want to share something important to you guys. If you feel like you're in a spot where it's just like something needs to work, oh my goodness, and all this and that, your desperation will keep you away from the thing that you want. Hear that one more time. The desperation and what you think that you want is what's keeping you away from what you want. If I sit here desperate telling you, please, please, buy my course, buy all this, please, I haven't made enough videos, but just buy this. You won't. Nobody will buy. And the reason is, it's a trust building thing. It's not instant. I am tactically fast, but strategy wise, I'm in it for the long haul. And I want you guys to trust me and go through my things, provide feedback, and I'll go through it, find the feedback that's worth going after, use large language models to subsidize, and give me an advantage where I don't have to be always on emails. And that's like one of my biggest things that I wanted to do. I don't want to be looking at emails and all these comments. There might be some that I'll scroll through and be like, yeah, but I wanted to find the comments that are of my importance, utilize them, go after them hard, rather than going at things that do not have merit and are just spouting things. I've dealt with more than enough crazies that I'm just going to sit here and be like, yes, 2 + 2 = fish. Because I am tired of trying to fight that it's 4. If people already know their mathematics and they know it's 4, and it picks up on the 4, I'm going after the 4. Because that's just how I think. But I ain't going to fight you on fish. That's just my main thing. And it's no harm. Everyone has their own journey. And remember that I am not the best solution for everybody. I am the solution for those that are wanting to become readers, warriors, and the abandoned. Those are like my 3 main criteria that I look for in people. And then if I need them to be more, I look for hunger, vulnerability, and honor. And then humbleness is the 4th one. Because those things, it allows one to see the potential in somebody. One line that I love greatly is, you don't hire somebody for what they'll be tomorrow. You hire them for what they can be months or years from now. Because that's where you want to see. Because if I expect them tomorrow that they're going to be just operating at 100%, that is crazy arrogance on my end. People will follow 100% of what you do wrong, but only do 50% of what you do right. And that gives you peace. You can do things perfectly, even though there is no perfection, and most people won't mimic it to that extent. And that's the greatest thing. You are not the one that's supposed to be between. Your work and output, you can look through the KPI and OKRs and so forth, is yours. Let it just be that. Don't try to inflict your own will to another. Only create the SOPs and documents that make things repeatable for people. Implement the agents to allow it to do the things that others can't do. And things that only they can do as well. You don't want them on things where AI and human can't ever do, or AI and humans should never do. Pretty much. You don't want to be taking your direction all these skewed directions. You only want to be going towards the main direction. And humans should be more focused on the creative stuff, and the large language models should be focusing on execution and removing redundant tasks and building constantly alongside the human to greatly improve their lives. All the while making sure things are protected. You do not want a Bhagavad Gita ending. That's the great danger. If one has unchecked power over the other, it doesn't end well. Humans will see of it and then give it the AI some type of control, and then bam. Or humans see that it is too dangerous and throws it into the junkyard in the regards of they shut down all models. That could happen as well. Those are two extremes rather than finding the medium, and it's always a constant battle of one in, one out. You just don't want it to be full-scale warfare in that regard. So, summarizing, because I'm going to wrap this up. Stop going through YouTube videos on learning content, or even just some videos that are just taking away your precious time. Use Gemini, get the summary. If you want to watch it, do it because you intentionally want to watch it. No other way. If you're having trouble finding the thing that's very explicit in there, get better context into the prompt to get there. Secondly, be cautious on how many books you read. If you read 1,000, you're not going to have 1,000 in your head. You're going to need to create more resources that allow it to be recalled faster. That's why NotebookLM is perfect. You can create infographics, podcasts, mind maps, and so forth to now create what's just text on a book into something larger and get more sources as well from its search or deep dive. And those types of things are going to save your time and give you far better yields. Nothing is guaranteed. These models can change in the future. NotebookLM could be replaced by some new Claude that operates like NotebookLM that's pulled from an open source, and it maybe has a Composio with Perplexity bridged in, and then it does better. I don't know. The models keep improving so crazily fast that it's just best to find the things that work, keep always learning, and find things that make your life easier. And don't stress the small stuff. From me starting back in March, going deeper into like Claude and getting more automation stuff deeply embedded into like my whole workspace, I saw huge improvements in just how I architect more things. My last part is just getting more monetization. Don't be afraid to ask for funds. That's the one thing. If you're providing value, there's no issue of getting that value out of it. Just don't be too greedy with it that you don't know the numbers and are now hurting your market because you want to take an extra dollar. Know your worth, but don't go crazy over the worth that it starts harming your customer base. And it will probably even hurt your employee base because you don't look in that regards. It's far better to have a little more simpler and just get those things that you need and play for the long run, but be tactically fast and bootstrapped. You guys are amazing. Become the VIP you're meant to be, and I'm going to be signing off. Deuces.